People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, obviously, we've been speaking about Saliba a lot. Long story short, after not being named in the Europa League squad list, he doesn't need to be registered in the Premier League. I believe he's not of age, although being a foreign player, I'm not too sure with the law changes, if they have been implemented. He's going out on loan. Whether you have anything to say, whether you think it's a bad decision, it is what it is. There's no point crying. He's going out on loan. At least, well, 2 months. I was about to say 6 months because I keep thinking we're in August or so, but it's 2.5 months. So who knows, if he gets his head down 2.5 months and in January we will call you. In an ideal world, he goes out on loan, he stays there for the duration, he comes back a stronger player, more confident, more experienced, and better for his task of breaking into the first team. He'd still only be 20. You know, you've got to take time. Physically he's there, he can run, you know, he's quick, he's strong, he's 6 foot odd. You know, it's just about the level of concentration. It's just about the positioning. It's just about the consistency. All of these things, because even with a year in the Championship under his belt, he will be exposed. He's a young man. Minutes are currency. You know, he needs to learn. The best defenders are the most street smart. You only get that with experience. Obviously, there are many cases of young centre-halves that are or have been world-class, and I hope he can join that. But you know, we're looking at him to be our centre-half for a decade or so, like Raul Sanllehi said. What is a year? And obviously, I share a lot of people's, not concern, but, you know, if he is to go out on loan, could we have patterned the Premier League one, like you saw with Fulham and these teams there, you know? Fulham can't keep a clean sheet. You know, I think he'd learn a lot being in a relegation battle, having to fight and whatnot. Equally, you could say style of play, manager, all of these things are relevant. You know, we need to pick the right club for him. I would have loved the Championship. I would have loved him to go to Rennes, where they're potentially in the They are in the Champions League, so there's the potential to play in that and play against some top quality players. You know, St Etienne would have been perfect. You know, that's where he was before. They know about him. Take care of him. Take care of our lad. We'll go and grab him. And he's been linked with a couple other clubs. I would have loved for him to go to Germany and learn there. Like I said, would love for him to learn on the job at Arsenal. But if Arteta's taken a look at him and doesn't think he's of the level he was told to believe or thought he was, it's not there. And I believe Arteta, because the manager and Saliba have been in constant dialogue while he's been on loan. We have a loan manager. We've been very safe with Saliba. You know, we've always brought him over to train with us when he was there last season at any opportunity, and obviously to see medically how he is. So I trust the club, or specifically Arteta. And to be fair, like I said, I would have loved the top league, but let's not act like he can't learn a lot from the Championship. Of course, if you look at it, you know, if he played in the top division and he shut out, you know, if he's playing against Jamie Vardy and he's pocketing Jamie Vardy and he's pocketing Harry Kane and Sergio Aguero can't get past him, of course, that answers more questions of Saliba. You know, we know his level. There's always going to be that, but it's the Championship. I mean, Ben White's doing okay in Brighton, but he's stepped up. You know, Calvin Phillips he's not a defender, but he looks like he's been always at this level for Leeds. So I'm not too sure on what to read into that Championship. Of course I believe it, but on the other hand, football is a game of football. You know, it doesn't change too much. And to be fair with you, let's not act like there's not benefits for a young, to a degree, naive defender learning in the Championship. There's still some top quality players out there. If you don't think they're world class, are you telling me if you was a young defender, you wouldn't learn a lot being bullied by Jamie Vardy or playing against Glenn Murray, or, you know, Ollie Watkins isn't there, but you've got Ben Rama if he doesn't join Brentford. You know, there's some serious players in the Championship, people. Let me just type in Championship top scorers, because again, I'm struggling. I'm not going to cap. I'm struggling of thinking of players in the Championship right now. But there's some good individuals to be going against, people. You know, you've got in relation to that, you know, you've got Tony, who was previously at Coventry. He's good. You've got, you know, you've got Thingy as well. You've got Armstrong. I'm trying to just find players. You know, you'd learn a lot, man. Big up Elise for playing. You know, you'd learn a lot. There's some good teams in the Championship. And again, Glenn Murray and Troy Deeney are two examples, because people might say, oh, they're both past it. Deeney's going to bully him. He can outpace him, but he can't outstrength him. So he's got to think differently. Glenn Murray's the sort of striker, you might think he's in your pocket for 89 minutes. You lose him, he taps in the header and their team take 3 points. Immediately learn from that. There are some things he can learn in the Champions. Let's not act like he's completely hopeless, you know. A young 19 turning 20-year-old exposed in the Championship, where everybody's hungry and trying to stay in the league and try and get out, and there's consistent games. There's a lot. I'm focusing on, like I said, the opponents he might face, you know, the opponents, the systems, you know, he might be under the cosh. He has to learn that. But the consistency as well. Games are coming thick and fast. I believe in Saliba, like I believe in a lot of young players. But why do I love Bukayo Saka on top of him being a quality player? Consistency. You know, you can't always judge one player on another, but Bukayo Saka is giving you minimum 7 out of 10s in respect, minimum at least a 6, and he's giving you consistency. The games come thick and fast in the Championship. Now, like I said, he will have loss of form, he will have bad games, but if there's 3 games in a week, I don't want to see you 2 out of 10 one week, then a 7, then a 3. You get it? We need to find consistency, and these games come thick and fast. Now, with his injuries, we need to be careful, but there is a lot to learn. You know, in relation to what club he's going to join, hopefully we find out in the next few days, because, you know, I think Saliba he's owed that much. Obviously, he's training with the team, but let's get him out as quickly as possible on a temporary basis. Let him train with the team. Let him get further up to grips with things and come back a better player. Looking at the Championship, there are teams he could go to, but, you know, I've not put them in order, but teams, you know, Norwich play attractive football. Lost Ben Godfrey. They came up with a young and naive defence in the Premier League, so they're not afraid to do this thing in the Championship. You know, that's a club he can learn at. You know, that's a club. Swansea's another one. They give young players chances. The only thing that concerns me is off the field, because Swansea, you know, I don't want to sound bad, but I've spoken to players that have gone alone at Swansea and have been there. There's effort to do in Swansea. Now, that's a good thing, so you can focus on football. Same way that could become a prison. Now, when you hear of the personal issues, and he is a young man, you know, he's been in North London for 2 secs. It's a bit harsh to farm man out to Wales alone and whatnot. There can be loan managers, there can be all of this, but it would be harsh. So he might struggle off the field, but on the field there's a platform, you know, and it might be good for him. He just has to focus on football. You know, he's coming to a new country. I don't know if he wants to venture out and whatnot, to which Swansea could be good for him. I believe Derby be good. Again, young players given chances. Max Lowe and Bogle have gone to Sheffield. They give players chances. They give young players chances. You know, our former Arsenal player Bielik's there. Is that a place he could go to? You know, so you've got Norwich, you've got Derby, you've got Birmingham. Birmingham give young players opportunities. I've said Swansea already. Watford would be probably the top 2, you know. The top 2, I'm going to say the last one, but top 2, because Watford is right next to our training ground. He wouldn't have to uproot too far. We can run the rule over him. You know, he doesn't have to move house again. He can stay in his yard and stay, you know, the personal people around him can stay. There's not too much disrupted. Firmly focusing on football, I'm fully up for that. Equally, you know, if it's not Watford, and obviously Watford, like all the teams, they're all trying to get out of the league. But Norwich, you know, Norwich are trying to return immediately to the Premier League. So being part of that, you need to be consistent. And I think with that, there's also the Watford, that plays into the Watford element. I think Brentford would be the perfect fit for him based on how they play, based on how they do things, based on what they do with young players. Again, Brentford might not be in the Premier League, but they got to the playoffs last year, so there's that token of trying to get there, you know. And outside the choice out of all of them, I'd say Bournemouth, because I know Eddie Howe's left, but they're a fairly forward-thinking club with the football they play. Added to that as well, you know, it's a good place to play for. I know they don't throw too many young players around, but it's a good place to play. You know, they've got a good fan base. I know fans can't go in there. You know, I think Bournemouth wouldn't be my first choice, but it's something you can consider. For me, it should be Watford or Brentford, a toss-up between them. I could understand him going to Norwich. That would be my third choice. I'd entertain Swansea, because Swansea have a proven track record. And obviously, if they lose that Joe Rondon guy, the Welsh international, you know, they're going to need a centre-half. And you can't imagine they can bring one in right now. So, again, they might have to dip into the loan market. So, you know, not only Saliba, but Chelsea's Tomori, there's a big chance if he don't stay, he has to go play Championship football. You know, there are some other teams in the division. I've got a soft spot for QPR, but I couldn't really say them convincingly. You know, you look at Elise and Amari Richards playing for Reading, you know, 2 young players. Is that something Saliba could be a part of? Obviously, the teams that have been promoted to the Championship are all destinations, but it's important that we find a place where he could be most comfortable. It's important there's a manager that trusts youth and understand that he needs to develop style of play. Now, they're not going to play like Arsenal. Arsenal are not going to play like them, but do they promote playing out with their feet? Now, there are benefits to him going for a team where they don't do that, because he'd learn a lot. You know, Saliba, from what I see, is a good defender. He's very much the modern day, but there is something to learn from going somewhere where they're playing long balls and you just have to be an old school defender. If you could take that old school blend with the education you've got of the new school, you know, and mix it, who's stopping you as a centre half? You tell me, people, who's stopping you as a centre half? If you can do the John Terry thing and all of that, and you can do this Van Dijk playing out from the back thing, you fuse them centre halves together. Do you want to play against that defender, people? Who can read the game very well, who knows when to step, but's got the physical qualities. And that's the benefit. That's why, I'm not going to say I don't care, but that's what he can learn in the Championship. Anticipation, reading of the game, positioning, consistency. There's a lot you can learn whether you're in the effing top division or the championship. So we can't downplay it. Like I said, it might not be my first choice. I might have been looking at it as well, a bit side eyes. But when I sat down and thought about it, depending on the club he goes to, he can learn a lot, people. And again, there will still be those question marks. Can you do it in the Premier League? But let's see what he's on, man. Him and Mavropanos are probably going to come back next season and be part of the team of some sorts. We're looking at Saliba to be a regular. It's down to Mavropanos if he wants to be a regular squad player, or could we even sell him to raise funds? He got his feet wet in the second division in Germany last year, and now he's playing for Stuttgart in the top division. He was at Nuremberg, and now Mislintat's called on a favour from us and taking him. That could have even been good for us if the German window was open. Can we do a thing where Saliba even stays here for the next 2.5 months, learns, develops, and then he goes off to Germany in January, goes, Mislintat, take your favour and take back Saliba. Or, which I don't think is going to happen, do we loan him out now in 2.5 months' time? You recall him and you send him to a top division. I don't think that's the best, because I think, he needs stability. Wherever he goes next, he needs to stay for a couple of months and get football, because he's done the St Etienne thing. He's come here Arsenal for 2 minutes. We're talking about loaning man out. It wouldn't make sense for me to loan man out for 2.5 months, and then in January you loan him out again. He needs to, wherever he's at next, he needs to play the rest of the season there, and that's why it's vital, and that's why Arsenal need to take their time. But for me, I'm looking at Watford. I think Watford are a good opportunity for him. I think Brentford would be a good choice. I think Norwich and Derby would as well. Again, I like QPR and their London club. Of course, all the London clubs have to be considered, people. But in short, like I said, I hope we get the choice right. I think there's a lot for him to learn in the Championship. All that matters is him coming back a more confident and experienced lad, ready to do this thing, because he'll still only be 20. You've got the future ahead of you, He needs to go and get that experience. Like I said, would have loved for him to play Europa League, the occasional Premier League game, or the cup games, but at the same time, while I think you could learn a lot from that and training week in or day out with Arteta, at the same time, minutes are currency. Holding and Mavropanos, I've been saying it, you can only train so much. You need to be exposed, and I believe if Holding was exposed to first team football a bit more, either on loan or at Arsenal, he might be a better player, and Mavropanos might be. But at the same time, you need to be given a chance to get experience, without having it. You need to get experience to gain it. And I can understand why managers are reluctant when they're, going through their season to throw a young Mavropanos or Saliba in there. Because I was banging on the Mavropanos drum. He had a great game at United, but he was thrown in against Watford, ironically, I remember. And he looked very shaky. He looked very shaky at the Emirates against Crystal Palace. He made that, in fact, he didn't look shaky, but he made that foul for the free kick, which led to Mustafi losing his runner, and I believe Zaha scored. So again, these things are going to happen. But the quicker he gets them out of the system, the quicker he's exposed to first team football and is allowed to build upon his 32 appearances in the professional game, the better. Last season was disrupted by injury, with COVID, with, many things. So he's still young. He's still very much going to be the future of Arsenal. Of course, when you hear, Rolls Royce of a defender, French, next Varane, all of these things, Arsenal fans and rival fans are going to look at him like, oh, yo, you're talking about a man like that and now he's gone on to the Championship. You lot must have been gassing, or Arsenal must have been hoodwinked. And that's cool. But what I'll say to fans is, you need to remember, especially with today's day and age where potential is the buzzword, yeah? I believe Saliba can go as far as his career takes him, Varane and all the World Cup winner, all these things are strong. I think he can be a quality defender. I think he's got the quality to be a very good defender for Arsenal and a household name in the league. But that's the Saliba of tomorrow, The Saliba of today, in the present, needs to work for that. So right now, he's not that. And I think many fans, especially with a lot of young players, mainly strikers, they get so gassed on what the player's going to be tomorrow, they don't see what the players are right now and what they need to do in the present, to go off and do that, people. But that's just me anyways. That's just what I believe. On that note, I'm going to keep it moving, though. I've got nothing more to add. I've really been here longer than I need to be. People, like I said, man, these are the clubs I would consider loaning them out to. There are obviously more. Obviously, I'm no loan manager. I don't make no difference. So, is what it is in that regard. This is just a man in my room with a camera. And with that, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, people. We need to score higher on them SEO searches. When you type in Arsenal reviews or whatever, your like takes us that much closer to being seen by new people, ultimately hitting new views and getting somewhere in this. Please comment your own opinions. I love to hear it. I'm pretty sure topics like this bring up many different viewpoints. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because you can go to other people for the mad stuff, but I always provide you with some quality because I talk what I believe. But on that note, I hope you're all well and safe. I hope you still remain well and safe, and that is extended to all your family. Check out my other vids because I know you ain't had enough. But until we buck up again, DG, I'm out, people.